Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast is brought to you by The Island Rhythm, the dopest reggae-inspired and Rasta-inspired designs, clothing, and everything else you could possibly imagine. Check out theislandrhythm.com. Check out Island Rhythm on Facebook and on Instagram. Once again, The Island Rhythm is where it's at. Much love. Oh. I love it when the podcast starts off with a laugh. Like, man, that's so hilarious, dude. I can tell you what, man. One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. But when reggae carries a message of the people, it becomes the heartbeat of revolution. And that's a Bob Marley quote with a little twist for myself. And this quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie-Fari, the beautiful, life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, brought to you by The Island Rhythm, recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio and Media Studios in the beautiful Ocala National Forest. Now take a second and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. And I'm your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie. And Hippie-Fari is that podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. So tonight, we have our special guest back in the studio. Number six, right, Tony? This is the sixth Cultivated Monday, bro. You believe that? And on top of, I believe it was episode 4 or 5 that Cultivated Mind did. So this is the 7th time you've been on the pod. Actually, we just did the damn Point Break one that's coming out. So I'm tired of counting, bro. Times you've been on the podcast. It's a beautiful thing, the Cultivated Monthly. We wanted to partner with a band that defined this podcast. And Cultivated Mind, from their lyrics to the music, the demeanor. I say this every time, but on a personal level, the message they stand for is the epitome of everything that we stand for here at Hippie-Fari. So this monthly is aptly named Cultivated Mondays. And we're dropping that episode the first Monday of every month. And these Cultivated Mondays episodes, man, they get a lot of listens, man. Either people just like hearing me, which I highly doubt, or they like you, and I'd happen to believe that it's all about Cultivated Mind, which is why they're listening. So, like I said, we're
here for you, baby.
Hey, I love that, dude. That's what she said. No, actually, it's not. But thank you so much for coming on, man. You know, we're discussing Cultivated Mind, upcoming events, past events, new music releases, future music, reggae in general. And that's why I love having you on, man, because it's not just, let's talk about your music, let's talk about your shows. We always get into some sort of cool conversation. You're always doing something cool. You're an extremely intelligent individual. And that's why I love having you on, because you make me sound smart, Tony, and I appreciate it. That's very hard to do, sir.
No, you're a very smart dude, and man, I learn something every time I talk to you, brother.
That's so beautiful. One thing you learn though is do not do jujitsu on a concrete floor when you haven't done it in 6 or years, because you end up in the hospital. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. That's tough, and I hope.
It's funny.
Recover.
Yeah, well, if I could teach anybody that, if you're gonna have somebody throw you around, make sure it's on a mat, bro.
Yeah.
100%. I had to wait a couple of days so I could laugh, because I knew I would. Leading up to this, I couldn't even laugh or sneeze without feeling like I was gonna die. So
just move the mouth and nothing else. Just ha ha ha.
That's it. Yeah, like please God no. But so 6 months, man, that's beautiful. I approached you guys 6 months ago, said I want to do a monthly, and 6 months going strong. It's a beautiful thing. But before I kind of get into the questions, can we chat about something real quick? I wanted to kind of talk about this is kind of weird for me to hop in, like dialect in music, and specifically Jamaican dialect. How people, bands, artists would sing, in that Jamaican dialect. You know what I mean? Can we just kind of talk about that a little bit and kind of give me your feelings on that? Like where do you stand? Because I personally think it's great. I think it's a respect thing. You know what I mean? I was a chef. I'm not from Italy, but my favorite cuisine to cook is Italian. You know what I'm saying? And I do it correctly. If I did it incorrectly, if I put my my twist on it, the real Italians would be like, "What the fuck, man? That's
Yeah,
not
they'd either love
authentic,
it,
right?
they'd either love it and be like he's a virtuoso and he's thinking ahead, or they would be like, no. You know,
That's not
there
authentic,
wouldn't be, yeah,
right?
there wouldn't be a middle. Yeah.
Right. So, kind of give me your stance on that, you know, or your thoughts, because I know being an English teacher, you know a lot about dialect, and I know I just opened up a can of worms on this one.
Yeah, this is one of those big elephants in the room that's always been in reggae music since it spread. And, you know, oh, there's a lot to unravel, and a lot of it has to do with what's considered a dialect versus language, the time and place that you're in, the area you come from, and kind of your involvement in the culture and the genre. And
Okay.
I see folks like M.R. Kind of taking heat for having the accent, but he literally grew up in England, and he can spit. The dude's good. So
Right.
what kills me, and then there's folks, and I'm not going to name names with other dudes that I worked with over the years, because I do it. My first few records, I did it a lot, and I do it a couple times on the newer record for dance hall tracks, and a lot of my friends from the neighborhood that are prominent musicians also do it. So I think the big issue that most people look at is they go, "You're not Jamaican," or there's already the issue of like whiteness and blackness and race involved, to where people don't, or well, I mean, how you know, from America viewpoint, it's like, well, how ethnic or how dark do you have to be able to
Right.
use this? And that doesn't really qualify to Jamaicans, who are like, well, how Jamaican nationality culture growing up here
Right.
should you be to use it? And then English people who are like, this music has spread through colonialism, but it's around here more than it is other places, and has been that way for decades. And
Right.
so they're exposed to the music, and it may not be hate, any sort of negativity from a British kid going into reggae and wanting to be a reggae musician, but there's also that weird fact that like it got to England and all of this started because of some really messed up junk. So it's a touchy subject, and like America tends to see things, unfortunately, through color and race.
Yes.
International, outside of us countries, tend to see things on a mixture of that, language, culture, ethnicity, religion. So I think what we have is a lot of folks will look at it through their one lens and not get that in another time period, in another place, another environment is different. And I always think about, like, first off, if someone can't nail it, it hurts. It's cringy.
Yeah. Right.
There's always that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things, man, is like if I talk to somebody who speaks Spanish, and I don't really speak Italian, but I heard enough phrases and junk, and watch movies and heard every stinking Italian song, that I get the language. And I grew up Catholic, so Latin wasn't foreign.
Right.
And then all of my like a lot of friends growing up that were, other than the country kids I grew up with, like in Pocosin. Outside of that, man, a lot of my
Pico-
friends, yeah, man, that's a water
Good
town,
old
bro.
Picosin. That's a whole nother
Yeah,
podcast, bro.
yeah, a little water town, bro. And like outside of that, though, I went to a Catholic church where it was like Greek kids and a lot of Puerto Ricans. So I heard Spanish music, salsa, people speaking the language. I heard a lot of this growing up, and so Latin language in general made sense to me, and I got that it all kind of came from common root, which is us, Italians. And so I think that
Right.
there's like, and nobody talks about that, but it comes from a bad
Wait, hold up. You're
history.
Italian?
Part.
That was okay. Never
Yeah,
mind.
part. The other part's a-hole. No, I'm kidding. The other part's German, which doesn't get a lot of, what do you call it, like big cheers. But, you know, big up your omas and your opas, too. And that's something that I see a lot, is like people call it patois, which is not, in Jamaican culture, is not really considered an offense. But I see like accent, when people say Jamaican accent. Yeah, there's an accent. The way you hold your A's. Welcome to Montego Bay, and you stretch your A. And like if you're from Ireland, you might actually have that same kind of inflection on how you say an A. And like that's an accent. But when you start to get between dialect and language, it's real muddy. And there's no like actual like definitive line. It's just how intelligible or unintelligible compared to the original language are you. And since
Right.
Jamaican language isn't just one thing, and from parish to parish there are dialects of that change. And there's also words from Arawak Indians. There's a lot of the descendants that are in Jamaica come specifically from West Africa, Ghana. So there's like Ghanaian words that are thrown in there.
Right.
Buro, Spanish words are thrown in there. And so because Spain were some of the first people to come in there and be colonial jerks. So
Yes. Right.
you have that, which is literally like what makes up Jamaican dialect, grammar, whatever you want to call it. And then there's also Ras speak, which is Rasta dudes who take the words, Rastafari, who take the words and will remove stuff like con, which has negativity attached to it.
Yes, and Vaughn Benjamin used to speak a lot on that.
Yes, I'm a big Midnight fan. I'm pretty sure that's
Me
what
too.
set me on that path.
Yes,
and
amen.
You hear a lot of that, and people trying to reverse negative connotations. And I'm using the word connotation that has that
Right, exactly.
embedded in it. But like you,
Negativations.
yeah, there you go. And so I think that there's a very complex way in which it's not just a couple borrowed words. It's structure. It's the use of the word me instead of I. Like, it's a lot of stuff that reflects other languages or descendants from Ghana that brought some of those words over here. And obviously imperialism mixing in with English. And so you have what seems to be way different even than Australian and Irish and Scottish and Welsh. And so you have, Welsh kind of its own weird thing too.
Right.
And like, so you have something that could be considered its own language. So the more that you discredit Jamaican and kind of like it's just a phony baloney accent. Well, not if you learn the words, the biblical connotations that people put in there, especially if you're Rasta. That there's like there's different even styles of that language, different dialects of that, what people call a dialect. So if Italian guys and Spanish guys know that they can speak to each other and at least kind of get a little bit of what the other guy is saying, how come they get the respect of being their own languages, but Jamaican is a dialect? And then you start to dig into colonialism more. And so if you're on that hill of people shouldn't treat Jamaican like a language, it's an accent, and people who are not Jamaican shouldn't sing in it. Well, then if you're Spanish and you sing a whole album in German, they'll give you like a Grammy for it. If you're Chinese and you sing a whole album in English or something, or you're Connie Francis and you sing in every language there ever was, they give you praise for it. But if you respect Jamaica and its culture and language and music with actual respect like you do the other languages and culture and music, you wouldn't balk at this, and you would treat it like learning a language and singing in the spirit of that tune. So
amen.
I think that's one of the hardest things for people to wrap their head around, is that like there's a whole lot that goes into this that makes Jamaican language appeal to people because it is different and it has different connotations, that word, and it has different things that make it refreshing and appealing, and
it does appeal to a lot of people. I mean, even like the catch slogans, hey man, or what, what I mean? Like it's all over T-shirts, it's everywhere, it's appealing. People, they go on cruises, man. They think of the Caribbean island. It's that Jamaican accent, man. It is very, 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 very appealing to people.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and it's musical, man. So, and I'll be honest with you, man, English typically isn't that musical. If you ask people,
not really.
Yeah, and non-native speakers are not like always like English is a beautiful language. These are like, that's some complicated shit y'all talking, man. I can't keep up.
Yeah, man. So many rules, Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they told me in the book it was hi, how are you? And now I go down the south and it's like, what up, bub? And I don't know what to say back to this guy.
Yeah.
So so I think that's something that's hard with that. And I watch dudes like M.R, who I get, man, he can be a bit silly sometimes, but he murders a mic. Or Side Quest. These guys literally grew up or been around Jamaican culture for most of their lives. And then we got dudes like me. I'm from the East Coast, and sure, I'm a jerk, and like people don't like to confront jerks. It doesn't mean that I'm right though. Like, I don't know if I should be doing it, but I treat it like a language. And so I think of it that way. Maybe that's my own justification. But I don't know, man. Linguistics is one of my specialties. So I paid for a degree in that. And so when I see stuff like that, I kind of go like, people are trying so hard to be right. And like, oh, well, you shouldn't do something. And it's like, well, do you think about why you shouldn't? It's not because that's kind of insulting. It's like you're saying it's not worth learning in a lot of ways. And so to me, that's a whole nother bag of crap.
I think America has a huge problem. That was a damn good point, like you said. Like it's not worth learning. So to make it right, that's you shouldn't do that. Why? Like you said, it's like that. I mean, like
not respect it.
Yes, exactly. That can kind of go over to religion too. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean you're Hindu? What do you mean you're Rasta? You're white? Well, that's what I relate to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's what I enjoy. You know what I mean. So it makes sense.
What's good for humanity is good. It doesn't matter who came up with it. If something's healthy, you pass that on. That's what you keep going. And it doesn't matter if it's some dude from another country. If he's got the answer and you don't, maybe listen to him.
Amen. So. Yes, 100%, man. And that's the problem. I think we don't. We hear, I think, but a lot of times we don't listen. But that's the beautiful thing about reggae music is it is that tiny island, you know what I mean? You created a music based on, revolution, wanting to change, completely split the world in two, you know what I'm saying? And
Tiny island, big tunes.
yes, and like you said, reggae is the last bastion of the people's army. I don't know how many fucking times I use that quote, but I think it's still a threat to the people that really, really, really know what it's about and the power that it has. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. That's supposed to be hope. It's supposed to be
Yes.
a voice for people who don't have it. If you're in the dirt and you need a way out of a hole, it's inspiration. It's literally. People also don't look at this, man. There's 3 versions of the Bible, and literally all Rasta talks about is Revelations and the end of times and who's got
That's it.
their
Yeah.
hands dirty. And it's like you're not because it's. I hate to say this because it's Africans and black people. For some reason, it's not accepted in like the part of the Abrahamic religions. But if you go look and you see that this is part of it, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this just all treating it like a language, treating the religion like, well, they don't like to call themselves a religion, but and I understand that because there's isms and schisms, but to not respect culture for what it is and not respect the message that's coming out, not respect the language and the complexity of history that brought that language to where it is rude. And it's based on racism. And I think most people know that kind of in the corner of their head, but they'd rather
It is very much
somebody because they feel uncomfortable, so they want you to feel uncomfortable too. And that's really what it all comes down to. Hate and sons of guns. But I think most people just don't think about why you say
and like you said, yeah, it is based on racism. Yeah, I was actually where I live at the restaurant. And I was talking to a guy last night, and we were talking about he's like, I'm on one side. I was like, I'm kind of on the other. I know both sides, and I was like, they kind of have the same ideas. They're both part of the same bird. I was like, one wants to take down the government for one reason, one wants to take down the government for another reason. I was like, a lot of things are based, and I mentioned the word racism. He goes, I don't see it at all. And I was like, really? The entire, system was kind of built on it, and I explained to him, I was like, is 10,000 years ago a long time? Yes, relatively speaking. Is 150 years ago a long time? No, relatively speaking. There's a lot of recovery, you know what I mean? Systems were put in place based on the people that put those systems in place. And the people that put those systems in place had their own best interest in mind. And unfortunately, whether they wanted to be that way or not, like you said, yeah, a lot of it is based on, it was a lot of race-based, you know what I mean?
People don't understand the ripple. They get it when you make a metaphor of like
religion,
dropping the rock in the pond. And then, but
right.
when you try and express it with people, and you're like, that could have had a ripple effect on future generations. They're like, nah, not with that. That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Women were just allowed to vote. How many years ago? Nah. They're completely. It's all good now. It's like, man, that
they
takes
didn't
a
want
fucking
to
minute.
back then. They were allowed to. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a minute to catch up. Yes, absolutely. But out of sight, out of mind, right? So I personally I love it when UB40. Growing up, man, listening to like your top 40 artists. You know what I mean? Kind of singing the dialect. You know what I mean? The way I look at it is, what do you say, baby? What's the Madison Kira? That quote, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally see it as loving and appreciating it, and trying to do it correctly. But like you said, if it's done wrong, it's
if you don't land the kickflip, it's rough.
Yeah.
But if you do and you get, I think it's the point. It's like if you get it, you'll get where you can and can't. Like, dog, I love Burning Spear. I'll be real with
amen.
you. One of my favorites, and I missed him Monday, and I got a new job, and and I've been taking off for gigs, so I couldn't go. So, but I got to see him last year, and I've one of the things that, like, this is not something I should say is my favorite song, but like you can just feel this in the few simple words he shouts for the hook and for his lines, and the horns, man, and like his slavery days. I'm not gonna play that live and sing that live. I have no business. There's a line. There's a line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not your struggle. And, like, neither is most of this, and this is why it wasn't invented. So tiptoe a little bit. Have a little respect. Don't track mud in the house. You know what I'm saying? So,
amen.
I think that they're, like, and when people are like, well, where's the line? That's the line. That's, it's right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, maybe
Yeah.
don't touch that tune and let him
Yeah.
sing that one. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's part of where I'm just like I think people are smart enough and they just want to. People kind of want to argue with something or point at something that makes them uncomfortable, or you see someone who's confident, maybe outside the normal bubble of their culture, and instead
Yeah.
of being like, maybe this guy's real secure in his own background where he's from, and that's why he feels like I'm not changing, I'm just hanging with these dudes, and
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. So, and then like
But
that
it is
too,
okay to live in solidarity. Yeah, like I grew up, a lot of revolutionary groups and all that kind of stuff, refuse and resist all that, and we would work in solidarity with the Black Panther Party, with the Puerto Rican Revolutionary Movement. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, it's not our struggle, but you can be in solidarity and understand their struggle and accept it, realize that it happened. You know what I mean? And take part in helping them. You
if
don't
they're your
make it yours.
brothers and sisters, that it's happening to them, and that's part of your crew, that it's happening. You've got to help
Yes.
your homies out. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because like you said, that ripple effect, like if you don't stand up for for the people that need it, unfortunately no one's gonna stand up for you. But yeah, everything that happens does directly affect us, whether we like it or not. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, and like
absolutely
you're
true.
saying with that too, man, evil doesn't stop encroaching. There's like
No,
never a like you have to be consistently trying to. I'm not saying that you have to be freaked out all the time, but to like at least acknowledge. Uh, there's oversensitivity, man, and then there's good old fashioned giving a shit. And like I
right,
don't know why good old fashioned giving a shit has been a problem, or just trying to be like at least wrap your head around someone else's situation to where you don't like say and do rude things because you're just trying to have a good time or whatever. Like people are
right.
assholes just so they can have a beer and not be bothered with something. And like I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like I get that people are trying to find their happy place, but the fact that you'll like stomp on something beautiful and like miss the
Right.
parts that really make the garden pretty,
But
that bothers me a bit. And so
but
I
that's
think
what people do. I think a lot of the time, you know what I mean? Like you see something, either it wasn't your idea or you're in a bad place. You know what I mean? So if anybody else is happy, you know what I mean? You kind of want to. But I just want to say something real quick, man. Good old fashioned giving a shit. That is another line that we're gonna add to your pull string doll, bro. I'm telling you, folks, I am making a fucking Tony Brand pull string doll. Like life's a bowl of cherries. Good old fashioned giving a shit. Like
life's a bowl of
all the
cherries is
good.
my uncle Richie from the Bronx. That was his life's a bowl of cherries. Sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's the pits, and that was it. That's what he give you when you said, "Hey, Uncle Rich." I love him. Big
It's
up Uncle
absolutely
Rich.
amazing, man.
But yeah, I think those are always gonna be parts of any kind of music you do. Like a lot of the stuff that like happens in one country happens everywhere else. Gitani or Roma people that come through and played flamenco were like hated, and now like Andre Segovia makes it cool, throws it in classical music, and now Spain's like, this is our music, we love you guys, keep
Hell
it
yeah.
up. And it's like, weren't you trying to kill
Yep.
those dudes like with Franco and all before that? So and I had black folks in America make blues, and people are like, and now it's the backbone of all music, and like hip hop and
Amen. Yep.
blues and jazz are the ambassadors of America, and it's just like,
Yep.
now it's American music, is it?
Yep.
And I feel like
Yeah, isn't
Jamaica,
that funny?
yeah, that worked out.
Yep.
And I feel like I don't know, man. Sometimes people really don't get like a lot of the double standards of like culture and music and how it works. And Jamaica's one that's very peculiar because you have those people who are like, unfortunately, you never want to call people victims, but it is what it is, man. Colonialism did terrible things to Africa, and the folks that were let out
A
from the
lot.
diaspora
Yeah.
are spread all over and created different cultures on their own to regain things. And I feel like Jamaica is one of those where like it was just like
And it's
on
amazing that
top.
America wanted that America wanted to go to the moon first because there was nobody to conquer. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. And like you said, this podcast at the beginning when we were laughing, you're like, people are either gonna love it or it's gonna get us canceled. But anyway,
Nah, I'm not
not even
side.
any
Let's
natives
go
to
for
conquer,
it.
man. But
Yeah,
I can kind of relate what you're saying to religion too. For example, if I adopt Rastafari or Hinduism, you know what I mean? Am I gonna practice it, correctly, the way that it's supposed to be practiced, or, come up with my own. No, that's why I appreciate what you're talking about with the dialect, the people trying to do it right, the same thing as, the spirituality, it's doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter where you came from. If you're going to practice it right, right?
yeah. And you got let's and I'm getting like real, like it has to like even outside of culture, just on like an artistic level. if the 4 dudes before you on the microphone all went, yo, and we're coming in real hard, and then you come in and you go, how's everybody doing? I'm on the beach, and like, dude, that's your fault. That's
Right.
aside from cultural elements, like there's energy in the room, and then you get up and you're like, I'm just gonna fart around, and everybody else gave 99.9% of what they got. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like that's, to me, that's another thing too. If you go to a club in certain areas, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Latino, Spanish. It doesn't matter. Like you have to attack the mic with a certain amount of energy, and I think that's another one of those mistakes people make too, man. Is that like there's Jamaican language and grammar, there's Ross speak, and then there's also like growling in a mic, which got added in during the dance hall era. Thank you, Buju and Terra Fabulous and Capable.
Yeah, Bougie Bondam.
Yeah, and like that became a style. So now you add that to an already rhythmic way of speaking. And now you have something too, like Jamaicans aren't all running around yelling like Buju in common speech. So I don't know what people think sometimes. You don't go go get Craven A's and rum before a party, and then you go.
Give me a hamburger and a car.
Why you screaming at? What do you want, brethren? You know what I'm saying? Like they're not yelling at. Like that's a style for the music. He has a deep voice. I've heard him in interviews, but he's not screaming at the interview. So that's that
right,
too.
exactly.
Like, well, that's just like, that's they're doing the Jamaican accent. Sometimes too, that's the style that comes from going hard in the dance hall environment that works with that kind of music. And rub-a-dub and all that kind of evolved into this really like spitfire fast kind of way of speech that also goes well. Like it's a style of musical delivery that comes from Jamaica the same way a skank, a one drop, or a rub-a-dub bass and a bubble is. So that also came too, and people were like, well, the white guy shouldn't do that. Well, there's like also most Jamaicans aren't doing that. That's dance.
Right. Exactly.
So that's like that's the new kids that are doing that, or the '90s and up. And so I think that's a misnomer too. Is like
Harrison Stafford from Groundation, when I had him on the podcast, he's talking about cultural appropriation because he would always get shit. You know what I mean? Like he would be on boards, or people talking to him about him being Rastafari, and they're like cultural appropriation. He goes, I'm a musician. I don't even know what the fuck that means. He goes, the Romans wouldn't have anything without the Greeks. You know what I mean? Everybody borrows something. I don't
believe that, man. Screw the Greeks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Except their salads, bro.
Yeah.
Huge fan. But
that's Mexican people, by the way, made the Caesar salad, I think.
I'm a huge fan of Mexican food too, bro. Now I'm hungry, great. But no, I mean, it's you're not appropriating anything, it's building on something that you appreciate and you love, you know what I mean? I personally fell in love with reggae music at a very, very young age when I grew up surfing. My buddy Dwayne, man, I was in metal bands with him all through high school, middle school, but I was always a huge reggae head, and I just posted pictures of myself on Facebook in 5th and 6th grade wearing my Rasta necklaces. He's like, you've been talking about Rastafari and reggae music since you were fucking 10 years old. I can't help it. It's just something that I fell in love with, you know what I mean? And doesn't matter what color I am, you know what I mean? It's what I relate with and it's what I like. But a lot of people, how can you be this? Or you subscribe to Rastafari, you're not black. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? That's the American, response.
And don't eat any. Then just eat. You can't even eat hot dogs and hamburgers. Half this junk wasn't made here either. So that's the other thing. People do that, and it's just like, bro, well, then spit out whatever food you ate because it probably isn't American. You know what I'm saying? Right. And like, people have some weird concept that they somehow are. I don't know. I draw the line on the culture, and I'm like, it's other than like the slave-free days referenced by Burning Spear. We all know there's a line there if you're not Jamaican.
Right. Sure.
Like there's a line
Absolutely.
there. But some of the other stuff just sounds more like hate or America's made people real uncomfortable with culture and ethnicity. And so when Americans see other people with pride and they don't understand it or they feel insecure and inadequate because of it, they tend to attack it rather than try to understand it and go, can you please just Wonder Bread so my brain doesn't hurt? And you're like, but you remember all the Baskin Robbins and Jelly Belly flavors, and you can't keep people straight, though. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's that's always going to be kind of why people judge, too. It's just easier to, like, point and mock, which is, to me, the opposite of what we should be doing.
I love other cultures, and it is easier to point and mock at things you don't, instead of trying to understand something, right? You just, oh, yeah, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Well, have you tried to understand it? I love other cultures more. I don't know, man. I love Spanish culture. I love their family dynamics. I love Italian culture. I love how Italians, at dinner, like, I'm like, we went to one of Kira's best friend's house, God rest his soul, man. I'm like, why the fuck is he yelling at me all the time? He's like, I'm not just yelling, I'm talking to you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They're setting the pattern. You got to meet them up there.
Yeah.
At my Nona's at Christmas, man. And like, I'll put it this way, man. My dad's family was like from Germany. They were. I'm like, I think he was born over there, like, so, and raised over there. Like, what definitely was raised there, and I'm pretty sure he was born. And like, I don't think he was a move-in. I think he was born there and then lived there forever. And my oma spoke German. My dad spoke German. And like, they could get rowdy too and have a good time. So that old school dynamic, man, I do like. I call it old world. Whatever old world or the international family that still keeps the traditions and stuff like that going. It's a beautiful thing, man. And like, but like you get in those big families, man, they get loud. People start like bringing up junk from like 30 years ago. That happened when people were kids, and now everyone's ragging on each other, and it's like it just turns into a big thing. And like that was.
You seen that movie, My Big
ahead.
Fat Greek Wedding? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like that, man. Absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. I appreciate culture and the fact that people don't that they celebrate their cultures. You know what I'm saying? I love that. But like, if somebody wanted to celebrate mine, I think that's a beautiful thing. So I think people, if they have an issue with any of it, the dialect you're singing in, or what religion you chose to be because of, based, not based on the color of your skin or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just people don't want to get into it and understand it.
Yeah. No, people think outside of that. I appreciate a lot more than people who are chained to misunderstand.
Right. Wow, that was a great quote, man. Chained to misunderstanding. That's See, I'm telling you, man, you learn something on these Cultivated Mondaze podcasts, bro. Especially when you're listening to Mr. Anthony Brand talk. Very,
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. Well, thank you for going down that rabbit hole with me, man. I definitely appreciate it. I wish you were on the last podcast I did with Raleigh, the host of the White Boy Reggae podcast. He's gotten a lot of backlash for the name of the podcast, but he is into all the White Boy Reggae. He's not really into he's really getting into the roots reggae, but I had him on, I asked him questions, and he turned around and asked me questions about roots reggae. Asked me, what the terms meant, what does pick it up mean? What does Irie mean? Things like that he didn't know. And I think that would have been a great podcast for you to be on. Maybe we'll have to do another one. That'd be wonderful, man. You could definitely.
That would be cool.
They've
actually covered. They covered either a release or something. I think I did an interview with them maybe last year.
Raleigh. Yeah, okay, heard.
Yep. Yeah. So like those dudes, and I'll be honest with you, man, and no disrespect to them, I appreciate their coverage, support, and they do, especially for guys like us out on the East Coast that are always kind of on left field. When I first saw it, I was just like, that's an interesting title. I'm already like always like kind of leaning in between like what shows I get put on, and I'm just like, let me check into this a bit. And so I went and checked it out, and I saw his description where he was like, I called it this because, that's my background in this music. It by no means that these are the only artists we're going to have on here.
No. It's White Boy Reggae, a listener's experience.
Yeah. And so that's when I was like, all right, man, this guy at least is a little bit aware of like what he's doing. And I was like, yeah, I'll mess with these guys. And I started to check them out more, and I was like, these guys are cool, man. So.
And I was actually honored because he's a school teacher too, man. And this summer he was like, I'm doing my summer of roots reggae, and he asked me for a playlist. You know what I mean? Of really good roots reggae. So I gave him my Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast Roots Reggae playlist. It was like, I think 39 hours of roots reggae, and I was like, I literally sent him a list. I was like, you want to start with this, go to this, go to this, go to this. You want to go to Midnight, Von Benjamin, you want to listen to Midnight first, then Akabeka, so you kind of understand. He's like, hold on, hold up. Just slow down. And I was like, I can't, man. I love this shit.
You should have given him 39 hours. Then when he opened it up, it's all Big Mountain, ooh, baby, I love your way. Like, for like.
Right?
For 39 hours.
Bjork yodeling for 39 hours straight.
Yeah. All you
it's
need to know
like
about reggae.
It's like getting your white belt in karate, you know? People are like, why the fuck are we doing this? It's like, just shut up and do it. You want your white belt? You know, you got to do it. It has nothing to do with karate.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I need
You
you
know
to
what I
wipe
mean?
these bowling pins down. It'll help you.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Uh,
so funny, man. So,
but yeah, no, big up to those guys and big up White Boy Reggae Podcast. And I see them doing good works, man. And
yes.
respect to those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, he's a great guy, man. He is a extremely intelligent individual as well. And so he had a funny story real quick, and then we'll go to the next thing. He's like, I was like, do your students know? And because he teaches, I believe, middle school science, and he was like, well, yeah, because I had my computer open and they could see the curriculum up on the screen, and then up in the top they saw White Boy Reggae, and they're like, "What's that?" He's like, "So I literally had to explain to all my students exactly what I did." And now they listen to my podcast. I was like, "That's cool. You just got a whole new generation into reggae music, bro. You got
Yeah,
the young sixth graders listening to the music. That's really awesome, man."
yeah. That's how you do it, man. Forward to the next generation.
So, straight up, man, since our last episode, what's new with Cultivated Mind? Shows, projects. I know I'm not gonna bring up the 3 album. Wait, I just did. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool, man. So maybe not this podcast, but next time I sent you like a weird, I call it table salsa. It's like a percussion acoustic salsa jam that's
Yep.
going to be on Blue Reggae. So if you want to,
Yep.
like, that'll be coming out probably in the next couple weeks, just as like a teaser.
I'm excited about
So
Blue Reggae, man.
if you want to drop that on a podcast or something too, that's cool. I got some new stuff. Me and Queese just wrapped up Dealer Man, so now we're gonna make a video. We've been kind of planning the video for like a year and a half.
Yes.
Like just ideas, collecting stuff. He bought like a Baron Samedi outfit, which is pretty nuts.
Nice.
Like the eye junks and nails and all that. So we have some ideas for that one that we want to do almost like a Tarantino movie.
And that track's like the old school weed song, right?
No, Dealer Man. By the title, no, that King Street Smuggler with Gabe is the
King Street Smuggler. That's it. My bad, dude.
is the '90s ganja anthem. But
That's it.
man, this is I was going for like ska at first, and I didn't really have an idea for the song. And then I like one night, man, I was just, you get fed up with the whole music career thing. So I wrote a bunch of stuff about how like when you start, like, it's not a great message. Like like most of my stuff has a decent message. This one is like questionable, and but like it's how I was feeling. And Queese literally like sings kind of from the perspective of the dealer man or the devil or whatever you want to say. So there's like
Sure.
it's a cool tune in my opinion, and like I went like old school blues, Devil at the Crossroads, without really touching those words. I was kind of thinking that kind of vibe, and like the whole fact that you're like, man, I'm such in a hole. I would give my left, what, if I could just get out of this for a second, or I'm such in a pickle, I can't. I would do anything, and I used to. I've held my Gaglione and my pride and my dignity, and stood against stuff I thought was unfair. And I spoke up when I felt I had to, and I took it on the chin and kept moving when I needed to, and I don't know if I got it in me anymore. And, like, what's the easy route? And, like, when you start to let that creep into your head, the game is over. And, well, yeah, you might get famous or you might get put on bills, but then you're a piece of you-know-what. So
Like selling your soul, kind of.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, you're a lonely, bitter craphead anyways, and you have no one around you that actually loves you, and you don't love anybody. So I think
Yeah. It's gone.
Exactly. So, yeah, you got nothing, and you gambled it all for whatever you thought. My mom used to say, when you get your dollar allowance, buy something that you're not going to eat. And I was like, why? And she would always say, because then you'll have it for later. So buy a sports thing or something like that, but don't waste it on candy bars. And I feel like that whole, like, I want to get well known or at least live comfortably through music. If you're not really in it for the art, after like a certain point, any money, anything you even get, even if you get blow up, it's going to go away. You're going to digest it. It's going to be consumed. And so
it's hollow, it's shallow.
Yes, and it doesn't last. And so
that's why people that win the lottery go fucking broke, because they didn't work for it. They don't know how to manage it.
Yeah, that happens a lot, man, and that's a perfect example of that. And so the song kind of has to do with like when you start creeping there, and like that's where the path goes from like I have a little bit of my own nobility left to I'm turning into a scumbag, but my life is getting technically better. And like that's like on paper, my life is getting better. Now I'm a scumbag, and like that's where you don't want to go. So it's a warning, but like the song rides that, and then at the end it's Queef saying like some will lose, some will win. Fun may be the sum for the wages of sin, and then it goes through the whole like thing where it's pretty much like, but at the end I'm gonna take everything from you and you're screwed regardless. And so
Yep.
like it's a not a friendly tune, but it's like for the messages that
It's
we
the
normally do.
truth.
Yeah, and it's real simple, and there's like nursery rhyme esh kind of choruses where it's like hop, skip, jump, and I almost wanted it to feel creepy and like kind of like
I
under
like
your
it.
skin. So
I
that
saw
one's
this
coming out
crazy
soon.
meme. This crazy meme the other day on Facebook, man. This guy was like, telling his dealer, man. He's like, I'm not gonna be around. Next couple of weeks, gonna be out of town. The dealer man's like, what? Why? He's like, I'm going to see my family. He's like, what? And he's thinking the dealer man's like pissed because he's not gonna be making money off the guy. And the dealer man looks at him and says, your family love you? Yeah. Do you love them? Yeah. What the hell are you doing out here, man? You know what I mean? You have
Yeah.
a family that loves you and you're out here doing this shit? And the guy was like, that was my turning point. So I feel you, man. You end up in that place, nobody loves you, you love nobody. It's kind of like a soulless, you know, shell chilling, right?
Yeah, you got a partner. It's you and the devil. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You and whatever
Yep.
evil entity you're enthralled with. And so I don't know. I feel like that's. I don't know if it's a good message when you hear the song, but it comes from a place of being like I've had those windows crack where maybe if I would have broke my integrity a bit, I wouldn't be struggling sometimes. And like
But it kind of
also
goes with cultivated mind. I mean, it's I mean, like I said, that could be relative. Like your song, is it Sunday School? I don't like basically the people. I love God more than ever, but I don't
yeah.
like going to church. You know what I'm saying? You know, somebody could say that's telling people stay away from the church. No, that's message is it's just being honest and real. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, that's a good message.
Thank
Sometimes the truth hurts, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, and a lot of that stuff, man, you're attacking, not attacking, but you're shaking the finger at people, and like people make up those institutions. A wall and a cross on it never really actually hurt anybody. People's crappy intentions to manipulate that and work evil through those, or to use it to take over towns and whatever it is that's been done by churches over the years. That
Yeah.
that's not the building, and that's not the teachings of Jesus. That's
Amen.
somebody on a power trip, and that's
Yep.
different. And so
But
that
people
when
also know if they listen to your track, if I pray down by the river, I know one day Jah will deliver my soul. It's like cultivated mind is like one of those choose your next adventure books. You know what I mean? Like you have to listen to all of it for it. It's got to make sense. You can't just cherry pick the shit. You know what I mean? So
thanks, man.
I think if people know cultivated mind, they're gonna know that's not a bad message. You know what I mean? That's just Tony Brand telling the truth.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate that, and I try and keep it like a warning. A lot of stuff I say to myself, man. People think even some of my wild rants over the years that people have been like, "Whoa, easy T," some of those are not like me throwing shots. Some of them are because I had beefs. I went 50 Cent mode on some people. You know what I'm saying? But like
Yep.
there were everybody. Music, it's really hard not to do that. But like I don't know, man. Like I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
I think I know what you're trying to say, man.
I just I lost train of thought. That's what happened, Scotty. I think. Um,
It's your message. They can deal with it. How's that?
yeah, and like I'm not always trying to jam an idea down people's throats.
Exactly.
I think sometimes, like I said, I put those messages out to remind me as well. I don't think I'm perfect, and it's not. That's what I'm trying to say is I don't think I'm always trying to shake a finger. Sometimes I'm like also putting a little thumbtack on my own, like a post-it note on my own cork board and see in the morning. It's like, hey, you might get an easy route, or hey, you might piss off a booker today, or you could hold your tongue and eat doo-doo for a while and lose a little respect and not feel good about yourself. And like you
Right.
put those pins up there to go, but you still survived. And like you did things the way you wanted to do them, keep doing that. And if you feel like that's the right way to do them, keep doing that. And like, don't take that easy crack through the door and don't take that shortcut. So
Yeah, like you said, it's the right way. Keep doing that. Was it Von Benjamin that said to you, That one song. Do that.
Yeah, I got scared and didn't want to talk to him because I had
Yeah.
done like I had
Me
done
and
like a
Kira just talked about that yesterday, bro. That
yeah. I was
story.
it was Akabeka. It was after midnight. It split the Desiree Ron Vaughn thing, and so I was a huge fan. And again, big up to Jason Bruner and Quiver Productions, and big up to my man Ross Big Mill, man. And Big Mill Productions, and they both of those guys knew I was a huge fan of Midnight when they were a band, and I was when Akabeka came out, I was ooh Portals, and
Yeah.
I was that might have been Midnight too. I got to double check that.
Nothing beats Beauty for Ashes Midnight, that album. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
the production on that's nuts. And I love the pressure features and stuff. But some of the oh man, I lost it again. Oh, I'm having brain farts.
That's all right, bro. And then
What was you talking about?
you're talking about Midnight when Von Benjamin.
Thank you. All right, so I'm walking through the green room. I didn't really want to like bother the guy, and I walked in, and everyone's kind of sitting. I think Drummy's like got his back to me. I literally brought a shirt, like I'm gonna give the guy. I don't know where I was. You realize how dumb you. That was a great humbling experience as a young man. Was to walk in and be like, I'm stupid, and I need to keep it moving. And so they had a door from the stage to the green room, and they had like a back area where you could walk out the back of the green room, so you could walk through if you wanted to. And I walked out backstage, and I didn't think they'd listen. I thought maybe they're on a bus or something. I didn't think, or maybe in the back couldn't hear it. I didn't think he actually heard my set. So I walked through, and the whole band's sitting there, including Vaughn. And Vaughn's sitting down and probably still eye level with my short Italian ass.
Oh yeah, he's a big ass dude, bro. With that hat on too. Like
Bro.
pretty 9'8", bro. Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm walking through, man, and this is like, we played a show with him, but I didn't meet him. So this is the first time I'm really like, I think I did like a thanks for letting us play. It's an honor. I probably thought I was a fan and didn't even know we would open. You know what I'm saying? Which I am.
Right.
So I kept it moving, and then the second show we get, I like talked to him, and I was like, hey, I walked through the back room. I saw he was just kind of in his thoughts, and I was like, I don't want to interrupt this guy. What am I doing? I'm some greaseball idiot, and I'm trying to give this guy a shirt and talk to him about music. He's just trying to get ready for a gig. Let me get out of here. So I started to walk towards the back door and just walk past him like I was an employee. I dressed like a sound man in baseball cap, all black and tinted like Adidas shoes. So like I probably thought I was a monitor guy or something. Just kept walking in. My wife, God bless her, and also at the same time, Rachel, because I scared the piss out of me. She walked up, came, followed the stage, was helping me load up gear or whatever, walks in the green room, sees that I chickened out. And she goes, Mr. Benjamin, that's your opener. It's my husband, Tony. He's a huge fan. They were the ones that just played for you. I think he'd love to talk to you. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
now I got to turn. I'm like 3/4 of the way, and I got to turn around like, hey. And so, I walked up to him and was just like, hey, man, I appreciate, everything that you've taught me through your music. And I don't remember the exact words, but I pretty much was just like, yo, man, you're a big reason that I take lyrics very seriously. And so he kind of saw that I was peeing my pants and didn't know what to say. And instead of like being, a lot of people have been like, yo, he like was rude or chewed us out or whatever. And I didn't get that from him, man. Instead, I got, not chewed us out, but that he can be a bit dismissive. And like, I didn't see that at all with Vaughn. And I didn't know the guy. He's no reason to be nice to me. And I walked up and he goes, was that those were originals? I was like, well, we did a medley at the end. Those were like, bunch of classics from Scatolites and stuff like that. And couple Studio One tracks. And I was just like, those we do a lot of. And he goes, well, that's cool. He's like, but a lot of people do that. And I'm like, yeah, we're supposed to. I thought that's what we do. Yeah, I thought we do the medley. And like, he was just like, no, man. He was like, that's cool, but like, that is what it is. And that was really, y'all play it really fast. And I was like, we do. It's a criticism. I'll take that. And then he was like, what's the church song? Is that you guys? And I was just like, yeah, that's one of ours, the Sunday school song. And he goes, yes. And he goes, whatever that was, he's like, that's your sound and that's what you need to do. He goes, that was the highlight of the set. And he goes, if that was an original, he's like, yeah, you found what you're supposed to be doing. Lyrics, everything. He's like, that's what you need to follow. And it was like a good criticism without crushing me. I'm already like trembling and like being like, all right, man, Rub-a-Dub's cool, but like, I didn't feel the heart in that. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, so that one was it. And like, I kind of kept that in the back of my head every time I make a record. It's just like, is this something that like, I feel like I believe or like, I can put my name on it in 20, 30 years. So Long
That's
rant.
cool. And
Yeah.
your lyrics do stick with people. Obviously, he heard that and remembered. When I was doing that crowd interview at Point Break, I interviewed a lady and I was like, "You ever heard of Cultivated Mind?" She's like, "We just saw him, East Coast Rise Up." Like, you can see a band live and not remember a fucking word they said. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
for some reason your lyrics, they just stick with people. You know what I'm saying? I can
Thank
recite
you.
a lot of them.
Thank you.
And I think that's a good thing that he was able to actually, he listened to it. Obviously, it resonated with him. You know what I mean? And he remembered it. So that's a beautiful thing.
If my wife wasn't there, I would probably, I would still doubt this happened. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I was
Yeah.
just like, word, you actually paid attention to the set?
And I can
All
actually
right.
take this out of the podcast too, but I have to ask this question. It shit made me laugh so hard, dude. Who did you guys play for, or you opened for? And they walked up and you were like, "How was the set?" And they're like, "Well, the drummer was good."
No, they weren't. It was the Whalers, bro. That was Aston Barrett, rest in power.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, it was, and that was like, if anything, man, I appreciate him doing that because there's a whole lot of look at me going on at a
Right.
Cultivated Mind show. I'm playing a bunch of instruments. I'm like, dancing around, sweating on people.
Yeah.
So like, it's honestly, man, if you put like 80 shorts and a mini fro on me, I would look like Richard Simmons up there. It made like
Oh my God, you
fat
kind of
Richard
would,
Simmons.
bro.
We should do like Reggae Simmons out, like it's.
Eh,
But I didn't follow my diet. You know what I'm saying? So but
the
like
tights, you got to wear the tights anyway.
no, I lost track again, man. Oh no. What we talking about?
We're talking about
I hope you can
uh,
edit this.
no, I can't, bro. No, it's way too funny. No, him just being like, the Aston Barrett saying, "Well, no, the drummer was good."
So TC, first off, is gangster. Much love
Oh,
to
he's bad as
TC, our
shit.
drummy. Yeah, TC's gnarly. Like I play a bunch of drums on records, and then this album is the first one we really got TC doing like some of the singles, like "Iron in My Heart" and stuff. He's on that Infantry doing percussion on that.
Yep.
Will You Fumble doing drums, and like dude slaps. I don't even have to quantize his drums. Like dude is on time. So first off, I was so happy that Aston Barrett bigged up drumming. Like to me, that was already like dope because I'm the dude sitting there playing 90 things and trying to draw attention. So the fact that someone saw like how hard this man is going at what he's doing, really like because I appreciate TC's musicianship a lot, and drummers don't always get the respect they deserve. So that was cool to see him get that from the Whalers. But also like I wouldn't expect anything else from a bass player looking at a non-Jamaican frontman doing all this stuff, trying to play a bunch. Yeah, like he's like, I don't know. To him, he's like, you probably get all the attention. Get out of here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I kind of respected him for that too, and I was just like, all right, bro. Like I didn't take it any kind of way. I was just like, if I was Basie, I'd be like, it's a musician thing. You don't always big up the front man. He's a diva. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like, so I was like, I respect you from a musician standpoint for seeing like how this guy's actual musicianship is on point. And bigging up TC. So that was Aston Barrett from the Whalers. It was like, yeah,
That's
great
a
show,
beautiful
whatever,
thing,
but your
dude.
drummer's dope. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I don't know what it is, man. I like we just talk about a lot of funny shit, and I had mentioned that to Kira again, the Von Benjamin story, and then the that one. Yeah, how was it? Well, your drummer's good.
And I was like, all right, man. But then I was like,
that's just funny, man.
But that's a bassist answer, and I was like, that's something a world class bassy would say. Yo, your drums, your guy on drums was killer, and I'm like, yeah, good, and he was. Again, man, if you've seen TC play, I don't care if it's a pair of bongos, a full kit like Neil Peart, or he's playing a triangle. The dude's gonna pull something off you haven't heard before, or just be so on point and in the pocket that you're not worried. Like a lot of drummers, man, they either go all over the place or their fills don't feel comfortable. Like TC is comfortable at a baller level, which is
100%.
You don't see in a lot of musicians. Most people
and he can play the one drop, he can play the rockers, he can play everything on hand percussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, he's killer all around. So big
so
up.
Talking about Von Benjamin, talking about family, man, Aston Barrett. Those are extremely memorable musician experiences, man. So I don't think I've ever asked you this. What's in your opinion? What's the most memorable fan interaction that you've had ever, besides me, asking you to come on the podcast for 6 fucking months in a row.
No, that's been great. Dude, I'll be real with you, man. You don't really see it here. I'm not gonna. My room's dirty, but one of the cooler things, and this may not be as like hyped or entertaining of a story, but to me, this is like I'm looking at it, man. And like we used to play this spot, and like it was called Anne-Marie's Pub. It was a Korean barbecue joint, and I don't mean a big one. It's about the size of this room with a bar attached and a small room with pool tables in it. And like we couldn't get a band in, and we played on Thursday nights, and it wasn't a ton of money because it wasn't like a big bar, and like but it was in the middle of everybody's area. So we tried to do this thing where we would bring it. It would start off acoustic, and then people wanted to get in on it, so I started bringing other band members. And so what happened was it started to become this thing every Thursday that guys in the neighborhood could walk to. If you drank, they could walk home. Nobody drove. And
that's beautiful.
People who went to, like, Shipyard, obviously my area is where a lot of folks are employed. And so, like, shipyard workers are notoriously, like, we're here to watch football, and, like, whatever you're yodeling, shut that caterwauling up. And so, and I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? You try to watch Monday Night Football, some guy comes in, play a wagon wheel loud as hell. I'd be like, dude, shut up, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the guys were nice, and instead would like tell the other dudes who would like leave when the music starts, yo, these guys are dope. Randy, Tony, all those guys would like shout out other people, and would keep the other dudes. And be like, yo, hang out. And so after a while, we had shipyard dudes, man, guys from Hutchins dealership. Like we had folks that would just like say, hey, you got to stay and watch these guys. And then our Cultivated crew, Ben, Wendy, just Joey, all the folks that like we came up with, Phil and Alice. And so this was like it just became a thing for us. And so we would bring guests in, much like Vince does at Green Parrot. And we would have a special guest every time, Sheppy, somebody. You know, Trevor, somebody from the neighborhood that we made music with. They'd come and do that, and we would do like rubber dub stuff. And it was the first time we were really using digital drums. So, because we couldn't fit junk in there. And so it became like, we're the only band really doing digital drums. Some people thought it was crazy, and we're just like, these guys are idiots, and this is not what I want to see. And just a lot of old heads still don't get it. And so I think that was one of the spots where they gave us a chance to show that could still bump. Javin on keys and Chad on bass was usually like our normal like trio for that, but like folks would come every week, and then when it closed, it just was a real bummer, man, and it felt like an end of an era, and like it was family vibes, man. It's real tight, and so it would get packed like to the door. So that was like the spot for us, and like when it stopped or we had to end it, everyone had like painted me. It's like a red, gold, and green hand painted jellyfish, or really supposed to be a brain, but the cultivated mind symbol, and like everybody had signed it. And like left messages on it and whatever, and just I know that's probably like not what you would call like, it wasn't like meeting Von Benjamin. It was a different kind of feeling. Like that was great too.
No, man, that's amazing. When
but this was its own thing where I was just like, that's why I've kind of been, sometimes people think I like I don't fight hard enough for stuff, and I do. I complain constantly. You can hear me. I look at I don't know what people think, but like I am a lot more happy when the neighborhood backs me than if the world does. And I don't know if that's what keeps me sometimes from going where I probably could. But that meant more to me than anything, was that people were literally like, yo, we feel this too. And this meant something. And it was a place where we all felt like it didn't matter what we come from. We were all homies, and used to hang out in that parking lot shooting the shit till 4 a.m. on Thursday nights, and then go try and do work at like 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, bro. And it was a vibe, and I miss that. To other people, it was just a Korean bar that had weird digital reggae dudes in it, and but for us, that was like where we really tried new songs, brought friends in, did the weird looping stuff that we hadn't really done a lot of yet, and kind of formed the way things would end up going. So, and a lot of the family there, man, still come out to shows till this day. And so Anne-Marie's Pub, man. Scott, the whole family, we love you guys. But that picture, man, and being able to see that on my wall when things get dark and go like, you still got family out there, bro.
That's great.
You know, that's one of those things. Interactions, I guess, with fans. They're really like my friends from my neighborhood, but that means the most.
So speaking of, you said that we're like digital reggae. I just got an off question real quick. Have you ever heard of Dub Kazman before? DUBKAZMAN?
Maybe I've seen it. I don't know if I've heard it.
You gotta
Like
check it
seeing
out,
posts
man.
or
It's
something.
definitely some wild stuff, man. It's like yeah, I absolutely I love it, man. It's pretty cool stuff though. But well, that's really cool, man. So we've gotten your dope interactions with kind of your musical heroes and your fans, man. Now whenever you and TC are writing a track, you know what I mean. You're kind of you're in the creative field. Is that like pretty much you write everything and kind of give it to him? All right, here I'll shoot a beat around the bush. How do you guys handle creative disagreements when they pop up? Because I know Tony. I know you're strong-willed, and I know you write like a lot of your stuff. Does Cultivated Mind even deal with that, or is it pretty seamless? You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's been like up. It's different depending on the generations of the band. So in the beginning, yeah, I did everything and I wrote and recorded and did all that stuff.
Right.
And a lot of those songs are ones that went on later records. So in that regard, that's when bands split and there were issues in the past. Nobody really even argued. They might have been like, Tony's a jerk or whatever the issue was, but nobody was like, the logo and the lyrics and the melodies are ours. Nah, man, people saw me do the work, and there were guys in the beginning that had jobs that took them outside of the state sometimes, or they didn't want to come to do the recordings, and I would keep rescheduling, and after a while they'd be like, well, you play it fine, so you just do it. So then you would end up doing the record, but now it's just all you on the record, and so it doesn't feel like as much of a band, and like they're cool with it, and you should be, because technically you're getting the glory, but you're like, I could have just done that. I'm messing with you guys because I want to make music with you. So there's like, yeah, I can do it, but I don't have to. But then the boat doesn't move forward because now nobody's doing it. So a lot of
There you go.
that's why a lot of like the first 3 records is a whole lot of Tony. Hope you dig it. But the folks that did want to come in, like Christian Lupertazzi, our first sax player, is on a couple tracks, man. Because we hung out, man. He would come to studio time, and on No Quarter for Thieves, I pretty much recorded the whole album myself, and was working out.
Great fucking album, bro.
Thanks, man. And I tried to work out some basic like formats for it, and then ended up breaking all of them. So musically, there's like a lot of frustration and maybe even questionable production, and some lyrics too that I don't know about looking back. But at the time, I was just trying to put out something that I like was just whatever I was feeling. And so when I got done with it, I felt like I had a decent record, and then 2 guys joined the band, Javin and Mark, like once I had it finished. And I had like blues licks in it and stuff that I really wanted in there, but Javin and Mark were young and eager, and they were like, yeah, dude, we want to play on the record. And they're phenomenal musicians. So like Sunday School, the intro, like guitar lick, was part of a longer solo, and I just cut it, put it in the intro, and then put Saxman on there. Great decision, because Saxman murdered. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, it was like that was the only real record where I had guys coming in and hitting the sax while I hit the trumpet, or Javin doing melodic on a couple tracks. And then like newer stuff has been like TC at the time wasn't a drummer when we did No Quarter for Thieves. I don't think. I think we even used digital drums at the album release, and then TC, like we already had a wave of looping and came back as a band. TC came after that, and then worked at a hospital on the weekends as the cook, or something like that. I don't want to misspeak. And so his weekends were taken up, and he was in the band, but he wasn't playing that much. And so I kind of started building the new record. I wasn't sure where things were going. TC was like, yo, I'm ready to get back on things. And I was like, great, because I got some tracks I would love for you to play on. So this is really the first album that me and TC have collaborated on. And a lot of them will be like, I'll send him something ahead of time. And I'll go, what do you think about this? Is this something you feel like you could slap? Or I'll be like, yo, I'd be sucking on this track, man. You want to come in and clean this junk up for me? But we just talked about, because he's kind of getting introduced to that part of things, he's been with us forever, but we've been around a long time. So being that he came after that last record, and I'd already started making this one, right now it's been like I send him stuff, or I'll tell him, hey, I got a track. Do you vibe with this? And then I talked to him the other day, and I was like, yo, for Blue Reggae, we got like a couple empty slots where I'd like to like not plan it and have you instead come in and write with me, like a couple TC guided jams for that. They don't even have to be reggae all the way. They can mix some things up. So that is the plan, is to get him like more involved with actually writing too, and just getting him on the record has been like a new process for both of us. So That's kind of where we're evolving into that. And even though that wasn't the process for a while, I like collaborating. So I think that's where things are headed for more in the future, since it's working out pretty good on Endurance.
Hey, man, that's a beautiful thing. And I got to do this real quick, bro. There we go. Love that, man.
Thanks, brother.
That's good stuff, man. There he is.
And boom.
That's that answer to Sunday school, man. I love that, dude. I just had to throw that in there. I know we're talking about new stuff, but
Thank you.
can't help it, man. That's such feel good, such awesome, absolutely incredible music, man.
Thank you. And I'll give Mark credit for this, man. Me and Mark actually, normally I write horn lines and I go, Mark, can you hit me a harmony? And then on solo sections I go, Mark, do whatever you want, bro. But that one Mark did like the square to rampant was all Mark that came up with that line. So full credit,
Yeah,
Mark put some of the real soul into making that tune what it was. That horn, I'm blessed that he came in and did that, and that they were both eager to come in and play on the record. So, you know, when it comes to collabing, man, it was really like who was down with it and could show up on time. Those were the people that made it on the records.
Right,
You know?
yep. So speaking of that, man, kind of picking your brain here towards the end. If you could collab with any artist right now, reggae, not reggae, doesn't matter. Local. I guess I would go more like famous. Maybe people knew, like, it's probably a flamenco guitarist or somebody, right?
If this is a question, living or can they be deceased?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I think I've asked you this before, but
Paco's up there. I would have liked to do like something with Paco de Lucia, the flamenco player, like a legend.
Yep.
If I could have been in the studio with Lee Perry, anytime I see
Right.
videos, I know he's a spread of music, and some people think his stuff's out there. I love that stuff. But like, if I could have been at Black Art mixing with that dude, like when you watch videos of people in the studios, everyone's hunched over, they look depressed, they got like 4 coffees, ashtray full of cigarettes, they're barely holding on. When you see
Right.
Lee Perry, he's on like a stepping stool, and he's like flicking faders left and right and like orchestrating. He's got a spliff burning out of his mouth. The lighting's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that dude is having a blast mixing. He's dancing around the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, feeling the vibe the way the musicians do. And, like, I don't know, something about the way he mixed, and when you watch the videos of him in the studio, you're like, that was a dope recording experience. Like, there's no way as a musician you couldn't feed off that. So I think working with Lee Perry would be one. And then, you know, there's guys I'd like to, like, work with. Like, I love Mobb Deep, but I don't know. They probably scare the shit out of me. So, like, I'm not gangster enough for that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's people I'd like to work with, but from, like, a mixing standpoint, probably Lee Perry would have been one, man. Sugar Minott, too, did a lot of his own productions, and I love how dreamy a lot of his stuff is. Yeah, man, Paco de Lucia, Al Di Meola, your quick pickers from flamenco music, I really dig a lot. And something about, like, Ray Barretto and, like, that era of late salsa. Those
I was going to say Hector Lavoe for me, bro.
Yeah, Hector Lavoe, Mr. Hachi Machete. I think those dudes had something going on. I just
Really
found
cool,
out
man.
about the Fania Records thing from my boy Gabe's uncle, and, like, I didn't know that they were all, like, on certain record labels and junk. I'm just kind of piecing this together. But the All-Stars, man, like, a lot of those dudes, like, some of the piano work that you hear on these records, you're like, God, I don't, you can call it salsa, but that's jazz too. Those dudes are
It's amazing.
Bro,
Have you
just
seen
nuts.
that movie? That movie El Cantante about Hector
but
Lavoe?
I need to, bro. I know the song.
Man. Yo, yeah, that song is out of control good, man. It's unbelievable, man. That's beautiful stuff, bro.
Yeah,
But,
those dudes
yeah.
were killer.
I think Prince would have been cool to work with too, man.
Yeah. I would, like, Prince seems like he would just be like, kind of like, you'd have to hang on to whatever he's doing.
No shit.
You're like just on for the ride, you know what I'm saying? But he would be a cool one to learn from too, man. I think about it like that. Like, there's people that I want to learn from working with them. And, like, I don't necessarily, when you ask that question, I always think, like, what would our music sound together? I just think about, like, what would the experience being in the studio with this person be? Like, and on that regard, man, I would love to be Tom Waits would be a gangster
Right.
person to collab with. You don't
Yep.
know what that dude's gonna pull out of his pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, oompa music, heavy metal, who knows? Folk songs, who knows what we're doing? What do you want? He'd be that guy. I don't know. What do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
guys like that you know are gonna throw you like a strong left curve or whatever called left hook, and at the
Right.
same time, like it's gonna work. Like guys like that, Lee Perry, guys that are gonna be like, yo, we're gonna do something weird. I'm gonna drop spoons and do a space echo, and then I'm gonna like wind it up and
Yep.
put laughter
Yep.
behind
Yep.
it. Because
Amen.
that's what I want to do right now. And we're going to make it work, though. Even if it sounds weird, we're going to tweak it until it sounds cool. Like guys like that, I think, who I'd like to work with, man. Maybe even Zappa, as long as he's not, like, too critical.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Without a doubt.
Some of those kind of cats that were just off. You know? Mingus.
Absolutely,
Mingus.
man.
Mingus
That's what makes it better, man. 100%. And I'm going to ask you this question right here, kind of wrapping up. I get a lot of reggae bands and a lot of reggae artists, and I'm, asking them, what direction you're going in. And oddly enough, man, a lot of the times I'm hearing, we're kind of getting away from, reggae, we're trying to make our own sound, which is cool, you know what I mean? Come up with your own thing, but to me it's kind of inside I'm wanting to hear, we're staying. You know what I mean? We're staying reggae. We're going harder roots, bro. We're going back, And as far as Cultivated Mind is concerned, I know you're putting out a lot of this music, but in the future, the next couple of years, have you ever, or do you ever consider doing like that reggae adjacent thing, or are you sticking? Because I know you've got the blue style reggae, you've got some of the salsa stuff, you've got some of the harder stuff, you've got some of the hip-hop style stuff, but it's still reggae music. You know what I mean? It still has that roots feel. Do you ever consider doing that, like, reggae adjacent thing, kind of that, like, Vans Warped Tour, ska, maybe we'll go reggae adjacent to try to appeal to a different crowd? Or is Cultivated Mind going to stay, Cultivated Mind buried deep in the roots 100% till the end of time?
It's a hard nah on. I don't want to put double kick drums into my reggae music, but
Right.
But people who do, man, that's what their heart feels, and like they don't want to hear me playing mandolin over a reggae record. So
Right.
some people like ketchup in there. We call it mac and cheese. I don't really vibe with that, but if you do,
Me either, man. It looks like blood. It reminds me. Oh, it's gross.
but I do like barbecue and mac and cheese. So there's a line.
See, that's a different story,
There's a
bro.
line, and so I think even with art, there's a line. So
Right.
I think if I'm really feeling like kind of spicy about it, man. I think most of those people probably weren't in reggae for reggae to begin with, and what we saw
Right.
over the last 4 or 5 years with this spike and almost kind of like I call it newfound glory flip flop reggae. Both for the flip flops on the feet and the flip flop between. We love reggae, but we're not really reggae. Don't pigeonhole us. Okay, so you'll get put on, but you want to get put on the bill and called that when it makes you money. Word. Right. But you play a one drop and a skank, but you don't actually want to sing about something uplifting.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So that's maybe me being a jerk, but like I feel like that, man. If you're a soldier, you're always a soldier. Winter soldier, summer soldier, the same. Like when it gets cold months, you still with it. So if the cause meant something to you, why would you abandon it? Yep. And so the cause doesn't mean anything to you, and you're like, well, I feel uncomfortable, and I don't know about all this truth and rights nonsense. So either we're gonna whitewash it, or I'm gonna leave. And so I think that's like that's something that's plaguing reggae real bad, and I think you are seeing kind of like a fade out right now in the whole modern American reggae scene of that pop punk mixed with reggae thing, and it's blowing up with certain artists. But I think once those folks go play what they want to play, your regular through and through reggae artists will still remain. Alborosie is not going to drop a punk album. I don't.
No, definitely not. Luca Baruka is not dropping punk, bro.
Yeah, I don't think so. But you never know.
Hippie-Fari is not going to have, country bands on the podcast ever. Although I do love country, but I'm just saying.
Gramps Morgan be dropping some country, bro. That once again, there's your barbecue sauce.
Hell yeah, he's bad, dude.
And that's your barbecue sauce. It ain't ketchup.
Yep.
But it ain't. It's still tangy.
Yeah.
So
My buddy Martinez, Steve Martinez, just opened for him the
yeah,
last 2 nights too. So,
big up
um,
Martinez, bro. Yeah,
yeah. Shout out. He was um, he was the first singer for he was the first frontman for
United
how am I
Souls,
having a brain fart right now?
United Souls band.
United Souls. That's it. Yeah, he's actually playing at my event 18th and 19th. So he's
Nice,
playing both
nice,
days.
nice. Yeah,
Yep.
big up Mr. Martinez, bro.
Yes.
Legend on the East
Yeah.
Coast.
Yes. Yeah.
And
He's a
now
great
moving
guy,
and
man. I
now
love him.
moving abroad and now doing big things outside the coast, which oh
Yep.
man, always happy to see dudes from our area make it and keep the
Yeah.
hustle going. So
And I never understood why the East Coast. I mean, it's closer to Jamaica than California is, bro.
well, and guess what survives here a lot more? Real roots reggae music. So
It does. The roots.
and
Amen.
that doesn't always sell, and you watch your heroes come out and play the same bars and clubs you do and make peanuts too, and they have to play till they're old just to keep things
Right.
going because they don't pay the originators the way they should, and they don't respect the roots the way they should. And as much as that sounds like bitter, curmudgeonly talk, that's kind of the fight, isn't it? Is to give
It is.
people the cultural and human respect they deserve. So I think,
Yep.
I think a lot of that goes down to what we were talking about earlier, and that's just like America's constant weird view of race and culture and ethnicity that blocks people from understanding that. But
Yeah, they just want to keep you as far away from revolution as possible too. So
yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and so,
you know.
but I think you're always going to have that because it is close to Jamaica. New York's right up there, and there's a huge Jamaican population there. Even in Hampton Roads, we have a decent sized Caribbean population. So,
Yep.
but you're right there, man. So I agree with you. I think the East Coast that's why roots survives here a little
Yep.
bit more than some other places. But roots also has not always been what's considered a lucrative genre because it ain't about that, and so. I think we get overlooked sometimes in that department, but I still feel like our musicians here get a lot of respect, even when
Yes.
people come from California and other places and see that like these guys aren't famous, but like they can more than hang with whatever
Yes,
we're
and
doing.
your reggae scene gets a lot of respect too. That's the one thing that I love about the Virginia Beach reggae scene. Like I said, I pretty much what did I call it? I scene swapped. I'm like I love the diversity in the scene. I hate to say it, but a lot of scenes, it's mostly a lot of it is the white boy reggae. You go to the VB reggae scene, and it's everybody doing a lot of beautiful stuff, man. Very, very roots heavy, and it's absolutely absolutely incredible, man. It's a very beautiful thing.
It is.
So,
It is. A whole
and the
area is great.
people are all fucking great, man.
Yeah, we have some solid cats out there, and people that I learned from over the years, man, that taught me the licks and how to actually get this to sound and feel right, and how to understand the music, man. I had great teachers out here, so even our elders, the bookers, the managers, all the folks out here. Sure, there's some weasels, and we've met, you know what I'm saying. But for
Of course.
the most part, most people who aren't worried as much about the industry and are worried more about actual reggae music are pretty solid people, and we have a lot of those from Hampton to Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, all around. Our roots folks are good folks.
Yes, 100%, man. It's a beautiful thing, which is why Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast was so glad to be out at Point Break. So glad to get so many interviews with a lot of the local people. So glad to have VB, Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Cultivated Mind on, Cultivated Mondaze. Just extremely elated to know the people in that scene, and to be kind of distanced, but to still be a part of it. You know what I mean? I love it. It's just like a family. It's a beautiful thing, man. Absolutely incredible. If every scene was like that, it would be absolutely amazing. But one's got to stand out, so at least yours does, man.
Thanks, brother, and we love you, and we appreciate all you're doing to cover our guys here and covering Point Break, musicians from the area, man, interviewing cats. I don't know. We appreciate the respect because a lot of us have been working a while. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm saying my brothers and sisters out here. I've watched a lot of us really push through and dog, it's Smithfield bacon and ham.
Right.
Well, like there's cotton balls rolled
Right.
on the side of the road in one area. Like, this is not, and the other area is like shipyard, military, and then there's some hood stuff. And like a lot of that is like, nobody was, especially like, it's not a place where you would expect reggae to thrive. And like,
Right.
even some of the people I've butted heads over the years with that, I still kind of like, I don't know, old grudges and stuff. I still give them credit. even some of the knuckleheads, man, for all they've done to really, like, even the people who caused the beef are dope people and have really
Right.
like everybody here has like really worked hard to make this exist in a place where like you would not think reggae music would be as inhabitable. So I've watched guys literally come from cornfields and come out and Queese from Lost Soul Society, Ian
Yeah.
from literally from the country,
Yep.
and then come out and bust ting-a-ling-a-ling. Chaperanks at shows.
Love
and
it.
have been doing that in country bars, bro. I remember
Yep.
the first bar I played with Ian, someone said something racist to our bass player, Rochelle, who was a phenomenal and a legend, one of those legends that's in the cut. You may not ever met him, but his name, everybody knows him. Rochelle Diggs, a monster on bass, and played with us, was our main bassy for a long time. But our first show we played in Smithfield. I'm not going to say the spot because I like the people that own it, but somebody playing pool said some shit to our bass player, and I don't remember what the comment was, but it was not far from N-word kind of vibes.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and like that was the first show me and Ian played. But Ian's out there at this country bar, and they're playing reggae with Slick One, which is a band from out there. Big up those dudes, man. And Ian's up there rapping in like surfer outfit and playing like djembes, and like his dudes literally with like Confederate flag shirts playing pool like around the corner. So like I give a lot of respect to the Nature's Child folks who've been doing this in a while, like in a spot where like you wouldn't expect people to really cling to reggae. So for our neighborhood, man, we have a lot of people that maybe never made it like outside the neighborhood big, but like they have literally done something that was nigh impossible, and made people that are like very not reggae kind of people start to really open up to this music and hear what it's all about. So big up to those country dudes out there in the middle of nowhere rapping in patois and passing on the message.
That's a beautiful thing, man. That's what it's all about, man. Like I said, my buddy Dwayne that I grew up with, he's like, you've been preaching this Rastafarian, reggae message ever since you were 10 years old, man. And, he was a metal guitar player, kind of went back and forth, man, and got a call from him about a year ago. He was coming down to visit. Recorded a reggae track with him. Kind of got him on it anyway, man. He hit me up a couple months ago. He's actually doing the sound at my event, and he was like, I can't do anything else, man. He's like, it finally bit me. He's like, I'm 50, but it bit me. I was like, what? He's like, reggae. It finally got me, bro. He's like, the message, the music, everything about it, the low end, the drums. He's like, I can't. He's like, I've never, ever experienced anything like this before. He's like, and it took me this long to get what the hell you've been talking about for 40 years, bro. Yeah. And, you know what I mean? Or, since I was 10 years old now, he's, so, that's the thing, turning people on to it. You know what I mean? It's never too late. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing when, somebody realizes, or like, hey, man, I love this. Isn't that the point of it, though?
Yeah.
Sharing the music. Yeah, getting other people to like it.
You share the healthy stuff. Dog, I'm from a town where I grew up with a kid that used to say stuff like, the South will rise again. And I grew up at a school where a dude said, and I think if you look up in Virginia, the town I grew up in is like the whitest town in Virginia. Like percentage. Yeah. And I grew up next door to that until a certain point and then moved there. So I'm not saying it was a culture shock, but I wasn't really like, rednecks in that town are different than rednecks to country people in other. That's not a polite word, excuse me. Country folks in that town are a bit different than country folks in other places. And I learned that there's families in that town that go back, and you'll always be a move-in unless your last name is one of them's last, that kind of vibe.
Yep.
And like, I remember people like really questioning what I was doing early on, but even with that, man, and like having CCR, I love CCR, but having that played constantly around me at the place I worked and stuff like that, I'm a person you wouldn't expect who would devote their entire life to this music and forwarding this message to other people. So, and once again, it's God, bro. Like that's a bad soundbite. It's God, bro. But like, but it is. It's God, and like you can try and make it more complicated than it is, but you are trying to spread the word of something almighty. And like you're trying to be a good soldier in this war against evil, and you can make it about Jamaicans and English and Greasy Tony from Virginia and whatever. You can make it all about whatever stipulations you want, but it's at the end it comes down to, is it good or is it bad? And reggae music is good. So, and it's there to fight evil and support the Almighty and hail the Almighty, not support. He supports us, but to support our brothers and sisters, and to find inspiration from something bigger than us, man. And I think that's forget color, nationality, and borders. And if Jamaicans figured it out, then who cares? Great way to go, Jamaica. Yeah, I don't. There should be no issues. It's a group of people that figured out something awesome and are a little more aware of how we all fit, to quote Von Benjamin, into the scheme of things. So I think that's something that people don't really like. I think that's like the hang up that we've been talking about this whole podcast. Keeps people from seeing that it's like your stupid little spectacles from your generation and your racial thoughts and whatever you think and cultural insecurities. That's you, dog. In the great scheme of things, it's good and evil. And like, which side are you on? And if this music echoes good, that's going to be the anthem we play as we ride into war against this evil shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I feel about reggae music in a nutshell.
Amen. And once again, like you said, it is the last bastion of the People's Army, man. That is a beautiful thing, bro. Tony, or Anthony, thank you, man, so much for another beautiful Cultivated Mondaze podcast, bro.
Thank you for having me, Scotty. Appreciate
absolutely, man. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to get off your chest? Where can we catch you next, man?
You know what really grinds my... No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Remember how we said we might get canceled?
Here chicken? No, I'm just kidding.
I have 2 big shows, and I keep telling people we're done touring, but we got 2 more on the road that I got to bring up. So one of them is 2 of them. And what's the name of the festival I'm playing with you on Saturday that weekend, November 3rd?
Cannabis.
Oh, the Cannabis Camp Out.
Cannabis Camp Out, and that's going to be...
Cannabis, yes.
And what's the city on that one?
That's Wearsdale, Florida. It's pretty much Ocala.
Okay, so I'll be there on November 3rd, performing with Propaganda, which those guys are dope. I've heard them a couple times. I got to play with them this week. And Mr. Scotty's going to be playing with me, which is really awesome, too. And then on Sunday, I will be at the Florida Cannabis Fest in Mount Dora. Big up to Zik Productions, man. We talk about family and having, like, your home away from home crew. Florida, there's been a few gatekeepers over the years that just, again, they like the 12-piece reggae band. Not a big fan of whatever it is I'm doing, even though King Jammy and there's a whole, and Bobby Digital and whatever. Numerous people use digital stuff, but whatever. But there's always been... I had a tough time getting into Florida, like, compared to all of the states, and, like, then I go meet people, and everybody there is super dope. So I'm starting to figure out that we have, like, a bit of a following in Florida, and over the years, that's been helped out a lot by Zik Productions, man, and One Love Fam Jams, big up to them as well. But Zik Productions, who runs the Cannabis Festival, were, like, some of the first people to really, like, get us on decent bills, and that helped push us forward to get us on better bills. And we met Space Camp, Mendo Dope, Cheesy and the Crackers, the family, man, that we see every year at Pennsylvania and Florida because of the Zik Productions guys. So big up to them. That's November 4th. And Renninger's Market, Mount Dora. So we'll have that one. And then coming up this weekend, big up to Scott and the crew from Rio for putting this on. It's like, I think either 4th or 5th annual. I think it's 4th. Of the One Love Reggae Fest. That's the Newport News Coastal Fermentary Brewing. That's going to be Saturday. And we're doing a final run with the Militia. So if you didn't get to catch the band and you want to see us on a decent stage with some good sound and arts and crafts and whatever you want to eat, food trucks, that's going to be, again, Newport News. That's this Saturday. And I think we're at either 5 or 6:30, something around there. But we're going to have the full crew, man. Mr. Gabe Diaz, Mr. Queasy J, TC, beautiful. Sanchez, and Mark will all be there. So we're doing that one. And then I don't think I have any more road gigs, and I have to work on this album that I keep talking about and not dropping. So that's what I'll be doing. That's the next step.
That is a beautiful thing, man. Well, very excited about seeing you when you come here. Very excited about being able to hit the stage and play with you, man. Very excited about everything you got coming up. And I am very excited about this podcast. This is a damn good one, bro. We talked about a lot of cool stuff, brother.
I'm sorry if at certain points I got lost rambling. Sometimes that happens. It's been a long day, and I slept like 2 hours last night. So
no, that's fine, but it's really good that I was able to catch you back up, because if you got lost rambling and I wasn't able to catch you back up to speed, then that meant I wasn't paying attention either, and that just would have been horrible for a podcast host. So.
Well, you've always been a great interviewer. I don't know what the expression is, but yeah, a great questions always, Scotty, and you help guide me in the right direction. And like I said, sometimes I get on these rants. And if you ever
so do I, bro.
Yeah, you see my posts on Facebook. Sometimes it's just one word, and then sometimes I'm like, here's some that bothers me for 4 hours, and like, my brain works like that sometimes. So thank you for your patience and for keeping us on track.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Well, thank you so much, man. This was the 6th Cultivated Mondays, Cultivated Mind Monthly, dropping the first Monday of every month. So if you're listening, it's hopefully the first Monday of the month, and you're following it real close, and the second that it comes out, but that you're listening to it. But always know that the first Monday of every month is going to be a new Cultivated Mind podcast. Always some beautiful stuff to talk about. You never know what you're going to hear, man. Mr. Tony might give you some guitar lessons, man. We might talk about dialect, We can talk about anything on this podcast, but it's an absolutely beautiful thing. One thing we will, in fact, talk about is reggae music and the beautiful reggae music of Cultivated Mind out of Hampton Roads, VB, Virginia, man. Love you guys so much, dude. Thank you again, man. Always an absolute pleasure and an honor, man. And I think it's amazing. The connection was absolutely perfect this time, man. Sometimes, it's when you're doing podcasts remotely, it's it can kind of be a pain in the butt. But this couldn't have gone any better. So I definitely appreciate it, man. So thank you so much, man. Definitely looking forward to seeing you in person again, brother.
Thank you, brother. Love you and Kira, and can't wait for the next one and for the show coming up.
Absolutely, my friend. Love you too, and we love you, buddy. And there is strength in unity. So build your community. You follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, shoot me an email, hippie-fari@gmail.com, and check out my website, hippie-fari.podbean.com. And this is Scotty the High-Strung Hippie and Kira the Irie Empress reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. Do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner. Smoke out a stranger. Slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart, because all good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all a part of that reggae revolution. One love, fam.